Welcome back. Last time out in the former chapter, I promised that we would have a look at overlapping images and some more advanced style effects. That's what we're going to be doing this time out. We're probably going to have one more chapter after this to complete our mini course, and that will be the process of wireframing and building a page from start to finish with our newfound tools and systems. Okay, I'm going to click on Edit. We're back into the editor. This section I'm happy with, so we're going to leave that as it is. This one here, we're going to try a couple of different approaches to tweak it. So we've got the image offset to the left and the text wrapped around it. What I'm going to do is see if I can duplicate. No, I can't copy and paste a block by the looks of it. That's a shame. Hopefully that's a feature that they'll add in the future. It would be nice just to be able to copy and paste a text block across without having to rebuild it. I will do a little bit of research to see if there are any workarounds for that for the next chapter. But I wouldn't hold my breath. I don't believe it's a feature available. Okay, so we've got 3 blocks. And this is where we're going to use the entire width. So, and I don't mean the entire width of the page, but the entire width of this grid here. We can snap out of it at any point, but we're not going to here. I want a nice, consistent flow. So I'm going to increase each of these blocks by 1 grid width. So then hopefully we should have 1 grid in between each. So initially we have this problem where if I go in from the left, we've got equal distance between them, but we've actually got the text offset to the left here at the moment. So can I move all 3 kind of half a block? No. So that's the initial problem we have, is snapping to each of the blocks. We can add a card background to the text. That's cool. Didn't know we could do that. But it doesn't seem to be a way of editing this so it's equal spacing. We'll take a step away from this now and add in a new section. We'll try and edit the space between each section first, and see if that makes a difference. So this gives us a lot of flexibility to be able to change the spacing between each grid block. But there doesn't seem to be a way of setting this to fill the full width. Now, when we're working back at the 12-column grid, we're able to achieve this with 3 columns because 3 columns go into 12, and therefore we're able to use that. So this is one noticeable change here, that all of a sudden we can't do what we could do previously with that 3-column breakdown and have them aligned evenly. I'm going to add a new section altogether. Maybe have a look at services and see if there's a 3-column breakdown. There's one there, and there's one there. Seem to have got a little bit crazy with the image frames on that one, so I'm going to go with this one. And we can see how they've done it. This is created via lists, I believe. So we've got a full setting on how lists are created in Squarespace. So they haven't actually used the Fluid Engine to create this particular template. So let's just move it further down just for reference afterwards. Press save for where we've got to. So we've either got to accept that the spacing is going to be wider, or we may have to just reduce the width of the columns and adjust them all accordingly. But even then, I can't see how that's going to work. Or maybe like this. There we go. So we've got a thinner column now in the middle. So one way of getting it to work is where all 3 columns down a grid size, and now we can get those 3 centralized columns to work and fit within the grid. Okay, trim down some of that content to make it look more realistic to grid of 3 images. Now let's see if we can put our photos above the text for each. We're going to add another image block and another one. So you see they stack in the top left-hand corner, and it's just a case of moving them into position. And that's one feature I really like about this Fluid Engine, is it still snaps to the grids. So it means in the old image editor, when we were moving the height and adjusting the height, we always have to adjust it by eye, and even then the editor can be a bit kooky and it will nudge it a couple of pixels out, which infuriated me. Okay, by adding those images in, we can see now that they are fitting to the frame when we want them to expand and fill the frame. So that's where I go to Design, press Fill, and why not, let's have a circle frame for each of our images. But unlike with the example we saw previously, I like to have my shapes all the same for consistency. Okay, so all of a sudden we can see the flexibility we have with this Fluid Engine, but by not having a template exactly like this in place, it does take a little bit longer than it would have before to put together. Not a huge amount, but does all the same. And also, this is a very new system, so I've been used to the old system for a lot longer, so therefore I'm going to be a little bit slower on this one to start with. So now I've got our 3 titles in place. I can then choose, I'm either going to go with a heading 3, maybe even heading 4 for this size of area. It really depends on where it sits within the site and how your font cascades in between each of them. You don't actually have to highlight on the entire title. You can just select part of it to edit it. HTML editors will know that you are referencing that heading area, so it will adapt. So that's a nice little tip to save you a bit of time. I've seen people I've trained in the past where they are trying to get every character of that title in place. The other thing as well is even if you do that, you'll change all of the text. Okay, final step, let's add in a button underneath. So again, it would be nice if I was able to duplicate a button. I can duplicate a section on a page. That's handy. But wouldn't it be amazing just to be able to take this and copy and paste it? So if we went for a secondary or tertiary button style, that we could just carry those styling across without having to rebuild it at every single point. Because this is what I'm going to have to do now. So I have to memorize that it's a tertiary button. Then go into the design effect on each of the others, change it to fit, tertiary button, and align to the left. Okay, not a huge amount of work, but still. This is where I'd like to see Squarespace taking this in the future, is to make it so we can rapid prototype websites much, much easier. Okay, we now have a nice consistent flow to our designs, and we've got the grid of 3. Before we wrap up, I want to very, very quickly just show you how we can use overlapping images and I'll create a new section for this. Blank section once again. We're going to add a text block. I'm going to go really quickly this time. I'm going to put a load of text in place. Make it to fit the full width. And now we're going to add in some images. If we look back at the Apple page, this is the type of effect that we're looking at. And that's what we're going to try and achieve. I'm going to edit the section, change the background colors. We are really going to duplicate and copy that approach. Please don't sue me, Apple. So the one thing we can see here that if you copy and paste the entire content, this is the issue we have, is in terms of we're losing the text behind the images. So what I'm going to do is just cut those two paragraphs out of it. Oh, what's happened to those images? We'll find out now. They seem to have messed up the images by getting rid of the text block. So, not a major drama. We can fix that, I'm sure. So we're going to start off with a full width text block at the top, then 2 images below, with a nice consistent overlap. And then we're going to add in a text block left and right. Just got them the same width, so we can get that center point of the page with the crossover if we can. Yeah, I'm going to keep it like that. So now we have our 2 images overlapping each other, and now we're going to add some text blocks in place. So now we've got our text copied, we're ready to paste back in. Get rid of the second paragraph. And where's that image gone? It's gone all the way down there. Okay. Actually, probably adding in a blank text block is going to be easier for you. And then just having an idea of how much text we want to add in. But I'm going to take it to that there because I want the text to be almost like it's in an invisible box. And then further down. And now we're going to add a final text block, left aligned. Might just take it in one more so we've got, well, no, in fact, the original spacing was right. They would be really nice with probably some sort of heading in between to introduce each of them. But there we go. Nice flow to this section. Quite different to what we've done before. And showing how we can do that image overlap effect with contrasting paragraphs in between them. I think there's too much text for this particular design, especially if we go back and look at our alternative here. Okay, the font's different. They've gone with smaller text block areas and using those headings to good effect. But it is possible to create that effect in the new Squarespace engine. I'm going to press save. We're not going to worry too much about mobile view at the moment because we already know that we can jump into mobile view and edit it. So we can see here it's not broken, but at the same time, I'm sure we could get those images to overlap on mobile. we'll probably finish that off in the next chapter before we start on with our final ascent. See you next time.